I wanted to talk today about the four foundations of mindfulness. So the practice that we're doing is called Vipassana meditation, and there are lots and lots and lots of different methods and techniques for Vipassana meditation. Some of them involve sweeping the body continuously. Some of them are more around using the breath as an anchor of attention, as we've been doing. But there are really countless methods. If you were to go to Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, where this particular tradition is rooted, then you'd find in monasteries people teaching all kinds of methods and techniques. But what they have in common is that they're related back to a particular sutta of the Buddha's called the Satipatthana Sutta, which is a discourse on the foundations of mindfulness, so the four aspects of mindfulness. So these are body, feeling, mind states, and the last one in Pali is dhammas, D-H-A-M-M-A-S, dhammas, or dhammas in Sanskrit. So before we explore these four different aspects of mindfulness in more detail, just to think again about what we mean by this term mindfulness. Really at its heart, it's about not holding on to a specific state of mind. So in insight meditation, in Vipassana meditation, we're not looking for a particular kind of experience. We're not saying the mind should be like this or it shouldn't be like that, or there shouldn't be any thoughts, or there shouldn't be any feelings, or we've got to somehow fix or change or adjust our experience. Vipassana meditation is about recognizing the way it is, coming to meet life as it presents itself to us. Finding, as I mentioned before, peace amidst changes, amidst the ups and downs of life. It's rooted in the idea, really, that no matter how hard we try, we cannot banish pain from our lives. I mean, we all like pleasurable experiences, but having a body brings pleasurable experiences, but having a body brings painful experiences. Maybe we all celebrate births, but births, of course, are inevitably what leads to death. Really two sides of the same coin. We all might want to be praised all the time, but we're also going to be blamed. Again, if you read stories of the Buddha's life, even the Buddha was blamed and criticised by others. So if we take that as a starting point, that life is going to throw at us the pleasant, the unpleasant, the wanted, the not wanted, then the question becomes how to find a sense of ease and peace within such a world, within a world that throws us things we want, things we don't want. So mindfulness is that quality that can meet all of life, pleasant but unpleasant. It's a present moment awareness, a here and now awareness. It's something that we cultivate in formal meditation practice, and as I mentioned yesterday, something that we can very much carry through into our everyday lives. So I was giving you the example yesterday, being mindful as you drink tea. But the more you do it, it's a kind of quality that's really there throughout life. A quality of being present, a quality of recognizing what's happening, a quality that also can include a kind of investigation. If we find that we're a bit stuck, there's a kind of very irritable, or we feel somewhat lost at times. But the mindfulness could sort of bring attention to that and feel, well, what's happening? Sustaining that, what can allow the kind of dis-ease that we can feel, what can allow that to cease, what can allow us to let go of that. It's a non-judgmental awareness. It's an open awareness, an awareness of welcome. So in terms of mindfulness of the body, We can practice this in a number of ways, and traditionally it's said to include being mindful of all postures, whether it's standing, walking, being seated or lying down, which basically means pretty much everything. We're always in one of those postures. So recognizing the posture we're in, being aware of that. It traditionally involves all activities: looking, flexing limbs, wearing robes, carrying our bowl, eating, drinking, consuming food, tasting, going to the toilet, falling asleep, waking up, talking, and being silent. So really all the activities of life, we bring this sense of presence, bringing this awareness, bringing this mindfulness to it. In terms of a formal meditation practice, as I mentioned, there are a couple of ways that we practice this mindfulness of the body. One beautiful way is to sweep the body. You will have done this kind of practice, but you bring the attention to the top of the head, explore the sensations around the head, explore sensations around the ears, around the face, move down the body, and again, obviously going all the way down to the feet, and again move up the body, down the body. And you can do this quite intensely. And when you do it intensely, our experience of the body begins to shift and change. So often we feel the body is something somewhat solid and fixed kind of thing. That kind of meditation really begins to reveal the body as a kind of energetic process. So the feeling of energies in the body becomes very, very profound and very, very pronounced. Really. The feeling of the body is a kind of buzzing, pulsing process. So the sweeping the body is a really good way to practice mindfulness of the body. One particular tradition, if you ever do Vipassana meditation with a teacher called Goenka. He's an Indian teacher who's learned his meditation in Burma originally. But then there's a particular tradition that really focuses that. So you do 3 days of that retreat, you do a 10-day retreat, and 3 days being mindful of the breath, here in particular, just under the nose. And then 7 days of sweeping the body. It's a wonderful, very intense but wonderful practice. Another way of being mindful of the body is a bit as we've been practicing. So you use the breath as the anchor point, the breath is the main point. But then when any particularly strong bodily sensation arises, you allow that to become the focus of attention. So it might be pain in the knee. Many of you have just experienced that, or pain in the back, or tension in the shoulders. And doing intensive meditation certainly reveals all of these kind of places in the body where things, really quite strong sensations. So you can bring the attention to that. Bring the attention, say, to the pain in the knee. What does it feel like? Is it as solid as it might feel? And again, we can begin to experience that as something changing, something pulsing, something moving. We can begin to notice that there may be a difference between the pain and the aversion to the pain. And I'm not suggesting that we sit with excruciating pain endlessly. There's a time when it's really wise and prudent to move. That's part of meditation too. But not necessarily immediately. Can you investigate that sensation? Can you feel it? Because sometimes, I mean, it doesn't always happen, but sometimes that pain goes. You can bring attention to it, and you can bring some mindfulness to it, and you feel it's there for a bit, and then it kind of moves on. It passes, it changes. And so in doing that, we're beginning to develop this mind of equanimity. A mind that can be at ease amidst pleasure, be at ease amidst pain. It's really what we're seeking in meditation. So mindfulness of the body, the first foundation of mindfulness. The second one is called mindfulness of feeling in English, or in Pali, the word is Vedana. Vedana. I might try that out for you a bit later on. Vedana. And Vedana means feeling in a particular way. What it means is something which is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So in English, sometimes we use feeling to mean emotion. So it could be all kinds of complicated emotional states. This is something more simple in a way, really. that basic sense of pleasantness, unpleasantness, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant. So we can begin to be aware of that quality to our experience. Let's take sounds as an example. So we might be sitting in meditation and somebody shouts outside the room. It's not necessarily fixed for everybody, but generally speaking, that would come under unpleasant. So we hear, I hear I'm trying to meditate, I'm trying to be calm, and then they're shouting or screaming. A car drives past with booming music on, which might not be what we like when we're meditating. Okay? So you notice there's a sound, but there's also this sense of unpleasantness to it. Or it might be that we're sitting in meditation and there's a bird lands on the windowsill and starts a nice song. How delightful, how beautiful, how wonderful. And again, there's that sense of pleasantness. Or with bodily sensations, again, pain in the knee, pain in the back, tension in the shoulders. These are all things that come under the category of unpleasant. But there also might be, we might begin to experience a kind of tingling sensation in the body. Like, oh, that's rather nice. There's a kind of tingling feeling in the foot, which is lovely. So we're bringing mindfulness to this basic sense of pleasant and unpleasant. Why would we do that? Because these are the things that begin to create complexity in our lives, begin to create a whole story, begin to create a whole scenario. If something's pleasant, we tend to want more of it. We tend to want a hold on. We tend to want a grasp. So a whole project becomes kind of initiated. How can I hold on to this pleasant thing? How can I get more of it? How can I make sure it doesn't leave me? I'll give you an example. I'm a connoisseur of the cheap watch. Some people love their watches. I tend to buy very cheap ones, right? Which I'm not suggesting everybody does. But there's a kind of peace in it, really. Because to be honest, it's cost 15 quid. If I lost it, I'd just go and get another one. I'm not saying I'm totally careless with it, and I'll try and look after it, and it's not good for the planet to have too disposable an attitude for such things. But it doesn't really mean that much to me, yeah? So it would be unpleasant if I were to lose it, but, for me, certainly in relation to this watch, it wouldn't be that much more, okay? But when we begin to grasp the pleasant, when we begin to push away at the unpleasant, it becomes so complicated. So I was thinking actually, I saw a friend this morning actually who's got an iPhone 4, I'm sure you know what that is. He had a cover, apparently they come with this sort of kind of cover, and he was talking to his friend, he said, I can't hear you, and then somebody else knew about the phone, he said, you've got to take this plastic thing off, otherwise the phone doesn't really work properly. And he's going, but it's my new iPhone 4, and he's like, I can't take that off. And I've got nothing against iPhones, but it's that kind of, that relationship that how terrible it would be if I were to lose it. I'd be really, really upset if I were to lose that. But the more that we have relating to things in our life with that kind of grasping, the more complicated it is. The more complicated it all is. So certainly in the Buddhist teachings talks about how that basic sense of Vedana, that basic sense of pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, is what conditions craving and aversion, what conditions what's called tanha in Pali, the wanting or the pushing away. That conditions the clinging, rupadana. Yeah? And these are the things that begin to kind of create a whole world where we can become lost. A whole world where we can become lost. So bringing mindfulness to the basic, pleasant, unpleasant, is really a way of beginning to dissolve that whole extra layer of complexity that we can bring to our life.